Hello my dear sewing friends, and welcome to Hack My Clothes, a series where we take quality techniques and we transform your existing clothes and make them more functional. So for example, you will see how to add pockets to the garment that has none. Or for example, how to line a blouse that's a little bit too see-through. Or how to add sleeves to a sleeveless top. But in this video, we're going to turn this sweater into one that has a zipper. Now my sweater is a knitted one, and if you take a closer look, you can see that. But in your case, it doesn't have to be. So you can definitely make this work with a sweatshirt or a hoodie. But in order to have a really good result that looks neat, we will need a couple of tools. So let's get started with real good scissors to cut through all of the layers and materials. Then we will need pins. We will also use interfacing. Mine comes in a roll, but yours doesn't have to. A lot of this really depends on where you buy this from and what kind of interfacing you will need. For this particular project, medium weight pull-on interfacing will do the trick. When you visit your local craft store, you will see that some interfacing is sold in the packs and some you can also get cut from the bolt. In this case, if you're only doing this once, I would suggest cutting it from the bolt because you only need a tiny little strip. Then we will need a marking tool, and I'm just using a washable Crayola marker, of course a measuring tape or a ruler, whichever one you have, and a zipper. Now there are all sorts of different zippers out there. Mainly you will see three: invisible zipper, regular zipper, and separating zipper. That's the one that we want for this project because we want to be able to open up our new jacket all the way. You can find separating zippers with metal teeth or with plastic ones, like the one that I have over here. They also come in different lengths, so what I do is I take my garment to the store and then I try to get a zipper that's the closest length to what I have here from the neckline all the way to the bottom hem. Usually the zipper tape will extend past the zipper teeth, which is exactly what we need. Now in your case, if your zipper is a little bit longer than the project itself, then you can use a pair of pliers and you can remove the extra teeth that you don't need. Then remove the stopper and reattach it. I find that it's easiest to do if you're working with a metal zipper. Further, you will need an iron and a sewing machine. Although if sewing machine is not available to you, you can also do the sewing part by hand. Alright, now that we have sorted all of that out, let's get started. And remember, if I can do it, then you can do it as well. The most important step is not to give up. I believe in you. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to mark the center of the front. That's where the zipper is gonna go. To mark it, we have two options. Option number one is to use a measuring tape and simply measure the midpoint between two side seams all the way from the bottom hem to the top. Option number two is to take your entire garment and then fold it in half, aligning side seam with a side seam and shoulder seam to the shoulder seam. It is a little bit of a tedious process, but either way will work just fine. Once you're ready, go ahead and mark the line. Now that we have marked the middle of the garment, before cutting it, especially if you're working with a knit like this or even chunkier one, we want to apply interfacing right on top of that line, sort of placing it in the middle. And my interfacing is about 1 inch wide or 2.5 centimeters. On the top and on the bottom, cut the interfacing just a little bit shorter than the neckline or the bottom hem, so that way once we're done, it doesn't show from the right side. To attach most interfacings, we will need to use heat. And before you do that, make sure that you check the label of the garment so that way you know which heat setting you can apply on your iron. Once the interfacing is attached, now we can grab the scissors and cut along the line that we have marked. You should be able to see it right underneath the interfacing. For this next step, let's return it to the way it was right before we cut it. Let's grab our zipper. Make sure that this little pull tab is facing you, so face up. Now, turn it face down, like so, and align the right side of the zipper with this side of your sweater. I'm going to scoot my project up a little bit and I'm going to start pinning at the bottom. With this one side pinned, we can now head to the sewing machine, but for extra success, I would always suggest to hand baste the zipper in with hand sewing needle and thread. And yes, this step is going to take a little bit longer, but not by much. However, it really does yield a good result, especially if this is one of the first times that you're dealing with zipper. Please note that the end of the zipper teeth aligns with the very top of the neckline, and that's exactly what we want. Now here at the sewing machine, before we do anything else, first we will need to change our all-purpose presser foot onto a zipper foot. And this machine was under $100, so most basic sewing machines will come with it already. So definitely check the accessories that your machine came with. Zipper foot also has two slots that you can clip it into. This time, clip it into the left one. Now, let's take our project and starting at the neckline, place it underneath the zipper foot. We're going to start sewing from the top, and a trick for a really nice and even stitch is to align the edge of the presser foot with the edge that we're going to be sewing with. Make sure that you have selected a medium length straight stitch. In my case, that would be something like number 9. And we're going to start with the back stitch, meaning that we're going to start sewing. Just a couple of stitches, then we will stop, press this button right over here and stitch backwards. Then stop again, and now we will continue stitching all the way to the bottom. When we started sewing, I unzipped the zipper just a little bit to make it easier. Now that I have reached a point where the zipper pull is going to be in the way, I'm going to lower my needle into the project, lift up the presser foot, and wiggle the little zipper pull out of the way. After that, I can continue sewing without a problem. Once we have reached the bottom, we will do another back stitch. So let's press this button and go backwards. And all the way down. Now we can lift up the needle, lift up the presser foot, and take the project out, snip the thread. Alright, let's take a look at what we have so far, and we will also remove basting stitches. There it is. Quite nice and neat, don't you think? Alright, now we'll repeat all of the same steps, but on the other side. I'm going to start by unzipping the zipper, then taking this side and placing it and aligning it with the cut edge of our sweater. Again, I'm going to start from the bottom. The bottom aligns with the bottom hem. This time, before basting it together, I also want to do a zip test. So we're going to close it up to see if everything matches. This time I'm also working with stripes, so that's also a pretty important component for it to looking very neat as the final result. A quick tip about the interfacing. Once the zipper is stitched and you fold it under, you shouldn't be able to see interfacing on the right side of the garment. If you do see it sticking out, that means it was a little bit too wide. Then you will need to undo the stitching on the zipper, cut this a little bit more narrow, and then reattach it again. Of course, you can do this test before you start stitching the zipper. Once this is basted in, go ahead and fold it under and check if the interfacing is peeking through. To stitch the other side of the zipper, we'll need to clip in the zipper foot into the right slot. When the other side of the zipper is attached, we are ready for the last and final step. And here we have two options. We can do it on a sewing machine, or we can do it by hand. I would suggest considering a hand sewn option in two scenarios. Number one, when you know that you won't be able to produce a nice and straight line, because this one is going to be visible on the right side of the garment. And number two, when that stitching line is going to distract the eye from the overall design of the garment, whether it's a geometric print or some sort of bold design. And I think in my case, I could also benefit from some hand sewing. First, we're going to do a little trim. So This part right over here, we're going to trim just by about, let's say, 1/8 of an inch. We want it to be just a little bit shorter than the zipper tape itself. And then of course, whatever we do on one side, we will need to repeat on the other side as well. Next, right here at the top, we want to take this little tail and fold it backwards as much as you can and hold it. Then flip or turn the zipper tape to the wrong side of the garment and pin. From here, continue turning and pinning all the way to the bottom hem. Now, if you were to do this on a sewing machine, you would start right here at the very top and you would use the same straight stitch with an all-purpose sewing foot and you will go all the way to the bottom. As always, you will start and end with a back stitch to secure your thread. You want to make sure that you catch this little tail and you also want to mark the stitching line so that way it catches the zipper tape and holds it. Now, in my case, I will be doing this by hand. The principle is very straightforward. Insert your needle, pick up just a couple of yarns from the wrong side of the garment, insert the needle through the yarns and through the zipper tape, and then pull it through. Continue doing that with tiny little stitches, and you will see that the result is going to be very well worth it. When we get to the top, again, we're going to fold this in to the wrong side, bring it like so, and continue stitching all the way to the top of the neckline. When finished, you can see that the hand sewing stitches are nearly invisible. Knits take hand sewing really well. The stitches sort of like sink in, and the result is really neat. And there you have it. You sewed a really nice and neat zipper and transformed your sweater. If you want to see more ideas and you found this video helpful, then subscribe to the channel and click right over here for more upcycles and how to transform the clothes that you don't wear. Until next time, happy, thoughtful sewing. I'll see you soon. Bye!